What's going on, everybody? My name is Terrence, Stewart, licensed therapist. I have a special guest today, Quentin Jiles. Now, Quentin is a therapist out here in Texas, more specifically, Houston, Texas. So, what we're going to be talking about is how to manage your mental health while engaging other folks during the holidays. So, Quentin, I do have some questions to ask you, and I also want to kind of get some questions that I got from people that actually tune in and subscribe. That was based on our poll. So if you guys aren't subscribed, make sure you guys like, share, subscribe, do all the great things to keep these videos rocking and rolling. But Quentin, let me ask you first and foremost, how you doing? How you feeling?
And I'm doing great. I'm blessed. Really excited to be here. I think it's an important topic. So I'm glad that you're talking about it because I mean, so many people encounter various stressors during the holidays. So I'm just glad to add a little voice to the global conversation of us helping professionals. So I'm good.
Cool, cool. Sounds good. Sounds good. One of the questions I do want to ask you, just kind of just jumping right into it, why do you feel like during the holiday seasons is the most emotional and
Mhm.
difficult part of the year for some people? Like why Christmas, why Thanksgiving, why other holidays, Hanukkah or Kwanzaa, why all these holidays that we do celebrate more emotional than others?
Yeah. Because it's a time where most of us, particularly in the Western world, in America, we do these holidays with family and friends. It's kind
Mhm.
of built into the nature of the event. And so if you're a person who has suffered loss from close family members, close friends, think about people who have gone through a divorce. Maybe they've been married for 10 plus years and they did these holidays together, and
Mhm.
now that relationship is no longer there. That family structure is no longer together. A lot of the memories, a lot of the grief, a lot of the hurt can come up around this time, which causes people to encounter stress and depression and sadness and feeling really down at a time where collectively a lot of us are feeling really up. So I just
Mhm.
think life happens to folks, and that's why this season is typically why it hits some of us harder than others.
Absolutely. I mean, that's an amazing point for sure because this is a time where everybody gets together. Like you have other holidays, Easter, Memorial Day, but a lot of times, I mean, family does get together and have great times. But these holidays, more specifically, is everybody's flying out, everybody's coming to town. Are we having grandma cooking, and everybody
Mhm.
coming together all on just this one day, this one occasion, and I always kind of thought about that myself. Is like, why these 2 days, even though some folks may celebrate it, some folks may not. Like, there are a lot of other holidays, but these are more the ones of the reminder, the holiday cheer, right? Like, I think this
Yeah.
one has an emotional component to it, whereas you're not thinking about the Easter cheer or the Memorial Day weekend cheer. You're thinking about like holiday cheer, like you're supposed to be smiling, you're supposed to be up. So there is, to your point, this upbeat,
Yeah.
this aura around the holidays. Even you see your first Christmas tree in July, you're like, like man, like what? Why so soon? Everybody's
You're
trying
early.
to
You're early, Doc.
like we ain't even hit any other holidays. It's like why so soon? So um, I, I attest to that point for sure. And yeah, and the crazy thing when it comes down to folks celebrating and getting together, you had mentioned as well too how it may be points where everybody's together, but not everybody may celebrate it, right? Or not everybody
Sure.
may be happy
Sure.
around this time. I think it is reminders because, especially when folks are grieving, right? Maybe this is the first Christmas or the first Thanksgiving or first holiday they've had without that special person there. It can be unexpected deaths. People are still grieving. I know a lot of people that I deal with and work with on my caseload, sometimes this is the second time dealing
Yeah.
with the holidays, and sometimes the third time dealing with the holidays without like their mother, their father, or their brother, or their sister. So this is just a time, not even just the first time folks may have um, experienced the holidays without it, but it's like a constant reminder for folks for
Yeah.
them to try to be happy, but it's hard to be happy when you're grieving at the same time.
Yeah. 100%. 100%. I think, I think also just the images that we keep getting reinforced as well. So
Hmm.
obviously we live in a capitalistic society. So you thinking about gifts are going to be, or
Hmm.
merchandise will be sold, which means people will be giving and receiving gifts depending on the particular holiday you celebrate,
Hmm.
towards December. But even in Thanksgiving, like it's a time where we're going to cook food, but we're supposed to be reflective on what we're thankful for. And
Yeah.
when someone is grieving, particularly a death, but even a relationship, but when someone
Yep.
is grieving, it's hard to be thankful. It's hard
Hmm.
to see the positive in just your life and in the world when something very catastrophic like losing a loved one, whether it be by death or just relational separation, it's kind of hard to pierce through those things. So people,
Hmm.
the coin term, I don't know who coined it, but the seasonal depression, it's
Hmm.
a real thing. Like it is
Yeah.
a real thing. And like you, I've experienced when working with clients, them having just this overwhelming sense of sadness that comes about or
Yeah.
comes to them around this time, and like being confused about what this is. Why is this here? I was just fine a week ago. Nothing's changed. Particularly like if there was a death or a relational separation that happened earlier in the year, right? So
Yeah.
to your point, it might be the first, but the separation of the death happened a while ago, and so they're
Yeah.
not understanding like why is this coming up? I kind of process the grief, what's happening right now. So it's a real thing, and thankfully it's a thing that people can work through, and we can build some skill sets to overcome it. But it is definitely a real thing.
Absolutely. Quentin, I'm going to ask you. There's always this question that clients ask, is like, what do I do during this holiday season since I've lost somebody, or maybe it's just a reminder of the loss that they experienced. What are some things like you tell your clients to do around this time of the year?
Yeah. Well, I would ask ideally, what do you think you want to do?
Mm-hmm.
What would be ideal for you? So I don't particularly run from the hard thing. So if someone was to tell me, I'm just really sad about it and I want to cry, okay, well let's cry. Let's make a plan to cry.
Mm-hmm.
How long do we want to cry? What's ideal for you in this situation instead of what I think is ideal for me, for you.
Mm-hmm.
So if a person wants to mourn it and wants to cry, we lay out a plan of what it looks like to do that in a healthy way. What does it look like to, do we still care about our responsibilities, or are we throwing everything to the wind? Okay,
Mm-hmm.
so we care about our responsibilities. All right, so let's plan out how we have to show up for X, Y, and the Z, the job, the this, or whatever. But then let's also carve out some space for us to be sad because that's actually how we feel right now. Or if someone was to say, I really don't want to be alone, okay, well then depending on the nature of the relationship and how long
Sure.
I've been
Yeah.
working with them, but let's just say we've been working together for at least a month. Well, by then we would have already identified your support system. So then we're going through, well, who feels the most right to be around at this time? Who brings you the
Mm-hmm.
most joy? Who do you have the best experiences with? Let's start making a plan now. And let me teach you how to be vulnerable with those in your circle to
Mm-hmm.
say, this is difficult for me. I don't have X, Y, and Z. I don't want to be alone. And I've thought about who I want to be around. And I want to be around you, or I want to be around the group. Can we
Mm-hmm.
set it up? Can we do something? So let's work on being intentional in building what we want to build in this difficult time. So I'm cool either way. I'm down for whatever it is you want to do.
Mm-hmm.
No, as long as it don't harm yourself. But oh, yeah,
100%.
that's what I do. I work on what my client want. How does my client see this working out the best way possible? And if
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
feasible, let's build a plan around that.
No, that's excellent. That is excellent. It's coming from them and not you. And I love that point where you're saying, I can have this plan, but you want it to come from them because they're the expert in their own world, right?
Hmm.
We're just there to guide and we're there to help them. I think a lot of times, especially as therapists, we do impose like, okay, well, this will work for me, or this is what I've seen other clients do to help, which can be good examples, but it doesn't have to be a mandatory, like I'm telling you what to do, right? It's
100%.
I'm guiding you and helping you to your best interest and what you feel like is right. And hey, if it didn't work, it didn't work. If it did, it did, right? But this is why we allow clients to explore for themselves, especially during this time.
Mm,
I usually encounter a lot of folks that are kind of skeptical on carry on traditions or not, right? One thing that my family does is we cook gumbo and we all hang out and we do all those things, right? Sometimes when I know when my grandmother passed away, there was like, I'm not sure if there was a thought because I was too young. It's like, hey, are we gonna still cook gumbo, or are we be dishonoring her? Or do we want to carry her legacy? And it's kind of interesting, especially around the time this time of year when we talk about the holidays, because a lot of times those are where family traditions are born, and these are where family traditions are actually played out. So sometimes people don't people don't want to actually carry
mhm.
on those traditions. Maybe they didn't like them to begin with, but or it can be too much to do or too sad and re-trigger that grieving process if you actually did it. So, um, and to your point, when I always get that question around, okay, well, I don't know if I should be around my family this year. I should not. It's like, well, what do you actually want to do?
Right,
And try to develop a plan around that for sure.
right.
No, but
And like,
that's amazing
look,
for sure.
yeah, and like looking at the worst and best case scenario, right?
Mhm.
Because we're also holding space that emotions are fleeting. So even when I
Yeah.
say, what do you feel like you want to do, or what do you want to do, like you can want to do that right now, but then tomorrow it could be different. So like, what is best worst case scenario if we do go around family? Just to take your example, if you do go around family, what's the best thing that could happen? What's the worst
Hmm.
thing that could happen? Let's figure out something in between. If you choose not to go, what's the best thing? What's the worst thing? And like, really, I try to really push my clients to arrive at their own decisions, arrive at their own
Hmm.
conclusions. I'm just kind of helping open it all up to give you angles that you may not have thought about
Yeah.
and to process what you think is best for you and then to help you
Hmm.
plan on how to do that. So
Absolutely.
there's a few ways we can skin this cat.
Absolutely. 100%. 100%. I want to ask you, there's this during the holidays, I always say there's the thing called buying pressure. And
Hmm.
for men, sometimes we have this idea of like buying pressure. Like I've had clients that I talk to doing overtime, doing DoorDash, Uber, Lyft, just to make enough money for the holidays. Like, what's your perspective on that as far as men and how we
Yeah,
overperform and we
yeah.
overspend just to show love?
I want freedom for the men. I want freedom. That's my perspective. Get free
Hmm.
today, sir. Uh,
Hmm.
now, that's very different from a man that just like wants to do it because you want to do it
Yeah.
versus a man who feels pressure to do it because he's quote unquote supposed to do it.
Hmm.
A man that just wants to do it, hey, run it up, run the check up, and go do whatever it is you want to do. But the
Hmm.
man that feels pressure to do it, I want freedom for
Yeah.
him because that tells me that his internal worth is tied to the validity of what he does for someone, or his worth is tied to the output instead of just who he is as a person. You
Yeah.
just being there at Christmas or whatever the holiday is really should just be enough, whether we have gifts or not. The family coming together, spending the time, doing the cooking, whatever it is that the family does, should
Hmm.
just be enough. The overperformance is a prison that I want men to be free of. Uh, I
100%.
prison,
100%. Nah. Locked
the
up.
prison.
Won't let
Yeah,
me out. Gotta let
correct.
him out.
And really, a lot of times it's us that won't let our own self out.
Oh, that's a good one.
It's not really anybody else that's keeping us in the prison. It's
Hmm.
us keeping us in the prison, keep having this really outdated and antiquated way of what like manhood is.
Hmm. Hmm.
That you're only here to provide and protect. And although those two attributes are what I would personally, not professionally, are personally what I would consider attributes of manhood.
Hmm.
That's not it, twin. That's
Yeah.
that's not just it. Like you
Yeah.
are a full-fledged human being. You have
Hmm.
emotions, you have dreams, you have wants, you have desires, you have hurts. Even if you don't want to agree to it, you have fears.
Yeah.
You have all of this. You have a myriad of emotions and a myriad a collection of experiences that you have gone through that has made you you. trying to be this box of a man that just provides and protects and kind of overperforms is harming you. I'm more than sure it's harming your health, anecdotally
Hmm.
speaking.
Hmm.
It's harming your health because you're
Absolutely.
not experiencing the full breadth of life.
Yeah,
You're experiencing this
absolutely.
very narrow view of quote unquote manhood, and it's really just harming you and keeping you in the prison.
Absolutely. I agree with you 100%. That overcompensation, the performative
Yeah.
nature, spending money you necessarily may not have or you have to work extra to get.
Yeah.
Um, it's a lot. It's a lot. And I think as men, we take things and we may run with it. We may hear our kids say, "Oh, well, I want this or I want that." And there's a sense of obligation sometimes men we inherit is like, well, who else is going to do it if it's not me? And I'm not
Sure.
trying to let my family down.
Yeah.
Because typically I think sometimes it's a fear-based thing where if you don't do these things, what's going to happen? And
Hmm.
sometimes things we may have made up in our mind as distorted. Well, my kids may not love me, or my wife may leave me, or if I don't get these gifts, or I don't perform, or I don't provide, um, nobody's going to love me. And to your point, it's a lot more than that. And I think it's just reflection of not just during the holidays, but
Hmm.
it's just amplified during the holidays because
Yeah.
the rest
Mhm.
of the year, I'm pretty sure the same man that has those obligations is still stuck in those shambles or those shackles are not being freed of it, and it's just amplified when the
Mhm.
holidays come because why? That's when everybody spends more money. That's
Yeah.
when everybody needs things, and it's like everybody's birthday on that specific day for sure.
Yeah.
Um, I'm
You
gonna
know,
ask you. Oh, go ahead.
yeah, just to add to that, it's just to there's a lot of relational insecurity in that.
Hmm.
A lot of relational insecurity. So if I don't do this, they won't love me. Well, how
Hmm.
secure is that relationship? That they couldn't,
Talk about it.
and sometimes we have to reevaluate. Now, the kids thing, we gotta, you have to work that through as a parent.
Yeah.
But we do, as men, I believe, have to evaluate the relationships that we are participating in because
Hmm.
no one is forcing us to be in these relationships. And so we need to do hard work to affirm ourselves and be okay with being just us and loving us and not even ourselves, not loving the output that we can contribute to, but then
Hmm.
also check in on those relationships and find out how secure are they really, and do some deep work to either make them secure or
Yeah.
go get to another secure relationship.
There you go.
Yeah.
That's well said. Well said for sure. I want to kind of pick your brain on what do you feel like some early signs or warning signs, I should say, of being emotionally overwhelmed during the holidays?
Hmm. Early warning signs. Uh, for sure, for sure. Feelings of lethargy, and that's actually not a feeling. So let me say it again.
Okay.
Some early warning signs for sure would be like a diminished capacity to just want to do things that you would normally want to do. In other words, you
Hmm.
find yourself not experiencing the same amount of joy, happiness, or excitement in things that you would normally do on a day-to-day basis, regardless of the
Hmm.
holiday season or not. That's a
Hmm.
telltale sign. That should indicate that, well, one, you have to be, intentional about being reflective of what's going on with you, but that's
100%.
a telltale sign that something is off.
Absolutely. So even in the points where you may not enjoy the things that you enjoyed previously.
Yeah.
And I think it's also, in addition to that, I'm not sure if this resonates for everybody, but sometimes there may have been a point in time where you enjoyed the holidays, and now
Yeah.
that you don't. I think that's a good indicator. And I made this post a while ago, and I kind of just recycled the post. Is that July is a good time if you know you have seasonal depression, to find a therapist.
Hmm.
So that you're able to work through and maneuver those things, or maybe you experience loss and you're grieving, or again, you may have lost a family member. Typically we don't think about the holidays until we start seeing things go on, and like the first Christmas tree coming up, or we start
Mhm.
seeing like, oh, it's Black Friday sales coming up, or
Yeah.
we don't necessarily think about it until it's like, I wouldn't say like too late, but sometimes with therapists, people's taking time off and
Yeah.
to try to see. I would say even, for example, with Thanksgiving being right around the corner, it may be harder for you to be scheduled to find a therapist to talk about some of these things, and you're not even really gonna get too much in like a week or two,
Yeah. Yeah.
right? So, to your point, I think having those early signs, and again, you may not feel it, but if you
Mhm.
know that the holidays are coming, I always say July is like a good time.
Yeah. But
July. Mhm.
yeah, and you're right. You may not get to the nitty-gritty stuff right now, but
Mhm.
your therapist can definitely be solution focused. And so
I
there
agree
could
with
be
that.
some tools, that you could learn, again, understanding that we may not get to the deep
Yeah.
trauma stuff in
Mhm.
2 weeks.
Yeah.
We may not understand your entire existence in
Mhm.
48 hours. But it would still be, a good idea if you, like, to your point, if you feel like, or you're going to have seasonal depression, or you've experienced it before,
Mhm.
reach out.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
Mhm.
I like that point too, where you said you may not get to the nitty gritty, but there may be some navigation around Uncle Joe, or or like
Yeah,
how do I deal with
100%.
Aunt Maxine, since
Yeah.
she's doing X, Y, and Z, or I don't know if my cousin, we got into a fight recently. I don't know how to navigate
Mhm.
that. Uh,
Yeah.
yeah, so a lot of those conversations can be solution focused for sure. May not get into the trauma and the
Yeah, yeah,
triggers and
yeah. We need
all
more time
that
for that.
stuff,
Yeah,
but
we
like
can't do that
we
in
could
2 weeks.
we can, maybe in a week or two talk about how to navigate a conversation, or how to work a room, or how to, or even decide if you want to show up or not to the
Correct.
family function,
Yeah.
and I think that, to your point, I'm glad you mentioned that. That gave me a different perspective on like what can you do in that shorter amount of time, for
Hmm.
sure.
Yeah. We can
Um,
always do a little bit of work.
a little bit. So small numbers add up. Small numbers
Yeah.
do add up.
Hmm.
So at least how to because again, those people don't go away during the holidays. You just see them probably more frequently. Like you may run into that cousin or that aunt or that family member, brother, sister, mom, dad. You probably run into them again before the next holiday. So
Hmm.
it is good practice to learn how to navigate those folks while for that little bit of time. So maybe some skills you can pick up for just for the rest of the year, or other times you may engage with them for sure.
Yeah.
Um, I want to talk about boundaries. Boundaries, 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 boundaries. I know boundaries. Sometimes the word boundaries is overused,
Yes.
overpopulated. It's like one of those. It's one of those words I feel like with mental health is like boundaries is like a word that's sometimes misused.
Yeah.
Gaslighting is a word that's misused.
Narcissist.
Narcissism is a word that's misused, and
Yeah.
all these
Yes.
different terms. But because I forgot what therapist it was. She's on social media. When I said, "Oh man, getting cooked
Is it
right
the
now."
capacity lady?
No, I gotta look her up. I'll link her at the bottom for y'all. But she had talked about the difference between boundaries and rules. And it was like
Hmm.
a phenomenal post. It was like, oh well, I have to tell this person to leave me alone. It's like, oh, that's a rule. It's not a boundary. It's like, okay, what's a boundary and what's a rule? And she broke it down in a way where you may be establishing rules with people, but not
Yeah.
boundaries. So rules is, I think I'm paraphrasing a bit. Well, rules is where you try to tell other people how to treat you, but boundaries is something that you have within yourself. So when people say I'm setting a boundary, you're not setting a boundary to control somebody else and tell them what that's a rule.
Yeah.
Like if I say like if I'm talking to like a friend, I'm like, hey, I don't want you to call me after 10 o'clock.
Hmm.
That's my boundary. It's like, no, that's not a boundary. That's a rule. A boundary is more, again, for me to enforce, is for me to recognize and enforce instead of telling somebody what to do.
Hmm.
So, with that being said, when we talk about boundaries in the context of family members being around the holidays, and maybe folks that you don't necessarily agree with,
Mhm.
How would you, Quentin, encourage people to navigate
Yeah.
family members or maybe set boundaries around the holidays?
Yeah. I think we got to do some work in finding out what you will and will not engage in. And that can, there's conversation, activity, locations, location changes, all of that. Because again, you're correct. The boundary is for us, for you. The rule is for them. Well, they may violate the rules of engagement.
Mm-hmm.
And respectfully, if they violate it, what you gonna do?
True story. True
What you
story.
gonna do? I mean, there are things you can do, but like really, what you gonna do?
Right,
So
right, right.
the boundary is you. Like, what are you going to do about you? So
Yeah.
if I, take me and a member in my family. I'm Christian. There's a person that's gonna show up in my family that every time we get together, they want to debate the Bible.
Mm.
I'm not. I personally came here for the eggnog, the presents, and the
Yeah,
food. Let's
yeah,
be clear. And this
yeah.
is just my personal belief. Yes, we will acknowledge culturally Christ in Christmas, but we over here giving gifts.
Yeah.
We're
Hmm.
giving gifts. I came over here for the festivities,
Yeah.
not to debate the book.
Yeah.
I've decided we've done this too many times. It's not getting anywhere. We can't, it's not civil. It's getting a look. I am not going to engage in certain conversations.
Hmm.
Love you. I'm out. Hey, I don't want to talk about it. I'm good. Or I'm just going to remove myself
That's a
because
good
if
one.
they're not respecting that I am trying not to engage because it's my boundary. I can
Mm.
always remove myself.
Yep.
Always go to another room. I can, now again, are there circumstances? Well, what if they follow you? What if this?
Hmm.
Oh, well, listen, I'm supposed to be a therapist right now. I'm not supposed to be a person off the street. So I'm just saying I'm gonna
Yeah.
engage mine. Like right now, I'm on a 90-day, no liquor. That 90 days actually
Hmm.
takes me to January 5th. Well,
Congratulations on that, by the way. I saw that post. That's what's
thank you,
up.
sir. Thank you. My boundary is when I show up for Thanksgiving, Christmas, New Year's, I'll be having club soda. It'll look like it's something in the glass, but it's club soda. I'm
Hmm.
not going to engage in the activity of drinking because I've already decided, I have pre-decided that
Hmm.
this is what it's going to be. So I think we have to do a lot of pre-work before we put ourselves
Mm.
in situations because
Yeah,
if you don't know what you're willing to do or not to do, it's easy
there
to
it
get
is.
blindsided once you show up and find yourself in something that violates your actual boundaries.
There it is. There it is. Doing the work and understanding what is the boundary. Like
Hmm.
what's the boundary for you? Again, a boundary is not announced. Like for example, like if you're like to the drinking example, it's not like you're telling people don't give me no liquor.
No.
You already come in prepared. Like okay, this is what I'm gonna do. It's
Yeah.
not it's not it's not a rule. I mean, it may be helpful to tell people, hey, I'm not drinking, but that's not a boundary. That's just
Hmm.
letting people know what you got going on. So
Yeah.
yeah, the work does come in understanding what are you going to tolerate, not tolerate, what is it that you're willing to do, not do, and you have to come in prepared. You
Yeah.
can't just go in there like, oh, I'm gonna set my boundaries. I'm gonna just woo, and it's like it's
Yeah.
not gonna work because you ain't got a plan because you don't
Nah.
even know what you're trying to get out of this
Right.
in engagement. Um, and even to the point of like to the point of and I'm gonna back up a bit to the point of trying to prove something doesn't mean that you have to go into situations and prove that you can set boundaries. Like sometimes being not being in that environment is therapeutic enough. Like if it's too triggering for you and you're like, hey, I'm gonna test this out, and you don't feel like you're prepared or you're ready to engage with family, sometimes it may be best to reevaluate should you go or should you stay home.
Yeah.
Are there other ways to engage? Or
Mhm.
even just limit, a boundary can be this is an example of a boundary like, hey, I'm only gonna the whole function is 5 hours, I'm gonna stay for two.
100%.
You know, it's like I'm gonna leave,
I'm
come
going
early, leave early.
home. Yeah.
All that, all
I'm
that.
going
Like I don't
home.
exactly. Like I don't need to stay the whole time. Maybe when Uno comes out, I may dip out because I know it get kind of crazy, or people in the spades.
100%.
That may be a good time to dip because you know how people may get during that
100%.
time for sure.
Or you a smoker. You and your cousins, y'all used to take a lap around the block.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, well, I know I don't want to smoke. So
Yep.
that means when I walk in, it's hey, love y'all, but I gotta stay in the house while I'm here.
Hmm.
I'm
Hmm.
not gonna go outside because if I go outside, I'm back at the environment. Now, if you are able to withstand certain temptations,
Hmm.
okay. But if you know yourself, like, nah, if I go out there, I know I'm gonna hit it. Stay in the
Yeah.
house.
Yeah.
But that's what I'm gonna do. That because
Hmm.
I am regulating myself, not regulating everybody else.
Absolutely. Absolutely. That well said. Most definitely well said. I want to speak about isolation during the holidays, and just ask you this question. And I know this is leading to like setting boundaries. Should I be with my family? Should I not be with my family? Do you think it is a good idea to isolate during the holiday season?
Man, I think that depends on the person, honestly.
Hmm.
I think it depends on the person. Because if we've deduced and we've worked through best case scenario
Hmm.
is you not being around the family and that you do not have a desire to be around anyone, then I would even question, is it actually isolating? Just because it is a cultural and social phenomenon, really, that we participate in all of these holidays,
Hmm.
that doesn't mean you have to. So if
Very
you're a
fair.
person that I'd rather stay in the house, I'd rather watch TV, cool, not to mistake that as you running from something. So
Hmm.
that's why I said you got to do the work to
Yeah.
understand
Yeah. 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 Yeah.
what are we talking about, what it is that you're trying to get out of this, what is best case scenario for you, what is also ideal for you. So if we've
Yeah.
drilled down to all of that and it's no, I don't want to be over there. All of my friends are going to be elsewhere. I don't really feel like going to their home either. I would much rather sit home and, do X, Y, and Z. Cool. We're also talking about a day. So when I think isolation, I mean, maybe I shouldn't think this way, but I think prolonged. Like, is this days on end,
Hmm.
weeks on end, months on end? I
Hmm.
would definitely say, hey, this is more than likely an issue, and we should address
Yeah.
that and not do that. But just because the society is celebrating a day, multiple days, different holidays, that doesn't necessarily mean you have to.
Yeah.
So, but I would be remiss if I didn't preface it by saying, don't hear that as an excuse to just run away from stuff that you really do need to deal with.
Okay, understood. Because the isolation could be that you're running from the unresolved issues, right? Like
Yeah. Mhm.
you're like avoiding situations. Obviously, if it's a safety concern for sure, like you need to get
Yeah.
up out of there. But um, if it does come to a point where you're isolating, because isolation isn't necessarily always a bad thing, because isolating, you can be on grind time, grind mode. Like even for me personally, for the holidays, I was telling you this before, not in the isolations part, but like I'm not going back to California this Christmas, and
Yeah. Yeah.
I don't think I've done that since I've been out here. Like I've always been in Houston, or I've been going back to California. So in a sense, it's like I feel like I'm isolating from my family, but in my mind, I'm like, oh, I got these goals, I got things to do, I have to, and I'm not technically isolated because I'm gonna have my wife and our
Yeah.
sisters coming in and all that good stuff. So it's not isolating, but I do feel you know, a tad bit isolated from the family, right? But isolation, if it comes to a certain purpose, I'm glad you brought up that point where you have to really examine why are you isolating. Are you isolating to run away from something, or you trying to save money, or you trying to save, you got other things to do, or do you actually want to be there? Because you can still have a great time. You can still
Yeah.
have a great time by yourself or with other people, and not necessarily with family members. It's just more of like a community thing for sure,
Correct.
for sure, for
You
sure.
might want to catch up on sleep. I mean, one year,
Hmm.
that's what I did for Thanksgiving. I didn't go
Hmm.
out, but this is, when I worked a traditional, 9 to 5, I
Hmm.
slept. I didn't show up to the Thanksgiving. I was like, oh, y'all got it.
There
I was in bed.
you
Like,
go.
so, and it was great.
You
It
didn't get
was
a plate
great
or
for me.
nothing?
Huh?
You didn't get a plate and go to sleep, or you just.
I think, no, one of my friends actually brought me a plate. And I was like,
Oh,
all right,
okay.
thanks.
Oh, dope. Okay.
Yeah,
So this is
thanks.
before you was married.
Oh yeah, yeah, yeah.
Okay, I
This
was
was
like,
years.
okay, I was
Yeah,
like, you
nah,
gotta
this
get a
was
plate and
years
go to
ago.
the room or something.
Yeah, no, no, no. This was years ago. This is when I was single, no kid.
Got
Yeah,
you.
I was tired, and I stayed in the, and it was great.
Understood. Understood. Um, man, this next question I do have, I'm interested in seeing like how we might navigate it, but because when I was thinking about it, it was like, how would you navigate that? So I'm kind of curious to know, and I know, I'm not sure if you have this. I didn't blatantly ask you. I know, but for me, I can't necessarily relate to it on a personal level, but with couples, right? There might be couples that have different like opposing beliefs around the holidays.
Yeah.
One might celebrate Christmas, one might not. One may celebrate Thanksgiving, somebody else might call it Thanksgiving. So it's a sometimes when you're with somebody, there's levels of intimacy where I would say like physical, emotional, but there's also spiritual where you guys may not believe in necessarily the same thing, or have the same belief system on a spiritual level. Um, Not to throw a curveball at the conversation, but I'm kind of curious to know like what are your thoughts about people who may have an opposing view for the holidays that are in relationships?
I think that's a tough space to navigate. That's my
Very
thought.
much so.
It's a
I just
very
thought it would be interesting to ask because like
yeah,
people deal with that. It's like
yeah,
I have somebody I know that's Jewish and somebody else that's Christian, but
yeah.
they're together and they have a kid and everything. So they they are respectful of each other's,
Mhm.
holidays per se, even though the Christianity and Jewish is like a difference between the interpretation of who Jesus Christ was, and typically that's quote unquote the world to celebrate the day to celebrate Jesus' birth.
Yeah.
Um, but I think it's always a conversation to be had prior to, because if you're with somebody and obviously with somebody for a certain amount of time, you guys probably went through a holiday together. But if somebody's just being with somebody for the first time and this is their first holiday together, I think it has to. I mean, a conversation would have to be had. It's like, hey, what are your thoughts about
Yes.
celebrating this, or what are your thoughts about celebrating that? I know even for I won't use these holidays more specifically, but I know me, my wife, and I we've been navigating more specifically the last couple of years, but this year we were intentional about like, okay, like what are our thoughts about Halloween? Because
Mm.
I don't know if we is the Satan's birthday or is just eerie.
Yeah.
Like, what do we do? But we had came to the conclusion of like, because for me, I'm like, well, I'm just worried about candy's on sale the next day. That's just my my point of view. But when we start kind of looking into it, it's like, okay, well, do we do it or do we not do it? I mean, this year was like, okay, we're not going to do it. But the other years was kind of like I didn't really care about it, but she did.
Okay.
So sometimes it may take, and I guess I kind of answered my own question. It may take like a couple holidays to figure it out. It's
Yeah.
not just like the one, because the day is going to pass either way,
Yeah.
right? But I think just not avoiding that conflict or not avoiding those type of conversations because they can be tough, and sometimes when you're with somebody that can determine your longevity with them. It's like, okay, when we have kids, what do we do? I
Hmm.
know my mom grew up in the Church of Christ. My dad grew up in the Baptist church, and it's like,
There's
what do
two
we
different
do?
worlds.
What do we do? Right? But eventually, my mom dragged my dad down. But
Yeah.
I think it's just an interesting thing. I know maybe somebody that's listening or somebody that
Yeah.
is watching this video, maybe dating somebody that has opposing views on the holidays, or maybe not even just because I'm using like a religion as like a barrier, because I know a lot of these have to do with like religion and culture, but it's just maybe we don't do Christmas. That's just I don't know what's the point. So I think one trying to respect each other's time, or excuse me, respect each other's. I mean, it is the time, but respect each other's belief systems. Trying to come to a mutual understanding with certain things. Because some stuff it is religious, some stuff is cultural.
Yeah.
And again, this may not be the holiday to figure it all out.
Hmm.
But if it's worthwhile with somebody, there are ways to navigate it over time.
Yeah. I definitely think, conversations have to be had, and kind of even speaking, going back to the boundary convo that we had
Mhm.
too. What are you and are you not going to engage in?
Yeah.
And so I think you need to know you first before you
Hmm.
step into someone else's territory, for lack of a better phrase.
Yeah.
So
Hmm.
I think it is quite difficult, especially if you are a person that has deep convictions, right? I think it's different if you believe a thing, but you don't hold like really deep convictions, and it's like, oh,
Hmm.
okay, we can do this, we can do that. Okay, if it's floating, then it's floating. But for a person who has really deep convictions, I think you really do have to ask yourself long term, how deep does the conviction go? And are you willing to do this for X amount? Because we're talking about romantic relationships, right? How long
Absolutely.
are
Yeah.
you
Yeah.
willing to
Hmm.
participate? Even if you do have a kid, what does that look like? Do you think that you will be able to, you know, meet your partner and vice versa in the middle?
Hmm.
Those are questions for them to respond to. I don't have the answers to those things.
Yeah.
Uh, but I think that there's a way to navigate it. But I do sometimes unfortunately feel like, someone, if not both, may lose out on something that they want. And
Hmm.
at the same time, that's kind of relationships. That's marriage.
Yeah. Hmm.
So I think a person has to decide or has to be honest about, how convicted are they? How important is this to them?
Yeah. Uh,
What are they willing to move on and what is immovable?
Great perspective. Great perspective. Because again, the compromising is a lot of what relationships is, like you said. But what are you willing to compromise?
Correct.
Is the holidays or your religion or your faith? Like I like that example of deep convictions. You know,
Hmm.
like for me, I get deep convictions around certain things, but like if my wife, she'd be like, I had a
Yeah.
dream type of like, I'm like, what happened?
You got one of those too, huh?
Bro,
Yeah.
my wife is amazing as she is, super God fearing. She would like pray for things. I'm like, in my head, I'm like, why did you pray for that? She would like pray for like, um, she'd probably be mad at me telling her business, but she would pray for certain things and like the conviction be so strong. Like I remember she was trying to stop smoking weed because we were smoking weed together at one point in time. She's like, I think 2 years, 2.5 years down
Mm.
now. Shout out to her. But she was like, God, remove the spirit, do whatever you have to do to remove this high from me, and da da da. Man, we was smoking one time and she started tripping out, like seeing the devil and all types of stuff. I was like, that's what you get for praying now. You just can't just stop. You over here just
We gave it
asking
what you
for it.
wanted.
Yeah, and I was like, and that was the last time she smoked. And I was like, okay, cool. If that's what you needed, I was like, I don't know.
Yeah.
But the convictions will be deep. But that's a sidebar.
Mm.
Um, Shout out to my wife. Don't get mad for me for telling that story, but it's hella funny. Um, I would say I know. What would you say one thing you wish people would unlearn about the holiday season just to protect their mental health or their emotional well-being? Like, what is something that you would hope people would unlearn just to protect their mental health and their emotional well-being?
Man, the first thing that comes to mind for sure, just based on the economic climate that we're in right now, you don't always have to show up the way you showed up in previous holiday seasons.
Mm,
The world is
okay.
different.
Yeah, yeah, yeah,
Everybody's
yeah.
got high as giraffe neck, so maybe we can only make one cheesecake and not five. So I think that I want people to be free of that. Like, you don't, even with your kids, like, have honest conversations. I'm not saying put them all in your pocketbook, but
Mhm.
having honest conversations with them about what you can and can't do is helpful and healthy and real. So the
Yeah.
wife and I, we just bought a house this year. We send the kid to a private school. We got some stuff we paying on. We've decided, hey, for Christmas, actually, for me, everybody getting books. I'm not buying the stuff this year.
Yeah.
Everybody knows the book. I'm gonna be very specific in the book that I choose based on the person that I know, but it's not gonna be what we normally do. And we got
Mhm.
our anniversary is December 12th. Wife just came to me and was like, "Hey, I know what we own right now. how about we merge anniversary and Christmas together instead of trying to do something for the anniversary, which is the 12th, and then Christmas, which is late in the month.
Mm,
So, just being okay with not having to necessarily show up the way we've always shown up or the way last year showed up. Last year was good in the business. Business did real
mhm,
good last year. This year, very moderate. So
mhm, mhm.
it's just not
Understood.
going to be the same. And so I think, you know, being honest about that will also create that relational security I was talking about earlier as
Yeah,
well.
yeah, yeah, yeah.
So be free of that today.
Be free, be delivered.
Be delivered today.
We're unchaining folks right now because
Yeah.
that
Yeah.
is perception is big, especially around the holidays, is obligation. Like I feel there's a like just this spirit of obligation around the holidays. And to your point is just having those honest conversations and not feeling obligated to do things that you do not want to do. And
Mhm.
this alluded to what you're saying before, especially when we talk about men and having the spending pressure, is that if you don't genuinely want to do it, don't do it.
Yeah.
If you feel like, okay, well, I don't want to do this, you're doing it out of spite. You're doing it ungenuinely. Like you will end up holding resentment for the
Yeah.
people that you're doing things for,
Yeah.
right? So like when they're opening the gifts, I mean, you open the gifts, or what, like February come around, they're not playing with it, or they broke it, then you mad
Now you
because you didn't
mad.
want to give it to them in the first place because you spent all your last dime. Like if you
Yeah.
want to do something, genuinely want to do it. Don't do it out of obligation. Don't do it out of pressure. Don't do it because you've seen the Macy's commercial or you've seen all these things on TV that's triggering you to do it. Because again, during this, I'm not sure if people realize how many triggers go on during the
Yeah.
holiday season, just with advertisement, just with seeing all these decorations. Like you was like, oh, that's nice, that's nice, but triggers aren't just one thing. Is like when pulling a gun to the trigger. It's like, okay, well, it's like a build up
Mhm.
until things pop off. Well, you can look at Christmas lights, or now you got
Mhm.
these jingles in your head, and now you went to HEB and you didn't see they got the Christmas cakes out, or you go to Home Depot, or everywhere you go you see the holidays, and those can be the triggers to want to feel obligated to do something.
Yeah.
I know for me personally, I typically be like, I don't want a Christmas tree, and then I start seeing Christmas trees, and I'm like, I don't know if I should get one or not. Then I look, I'm like, okay, no, I'm always hesitant. I haven't bought a Christmas tree since I've been to Texas. Would love
Mhm.
to get one, but every time I'm like, but the crazy thing is, I don't, and there's just to the trigger part. I don't think about it until I smell that, see smell the pine trees, or if I
Yeah.
see a Christmas tree lot, or I see something that popped up, and my phone's right here, so probably Christmas tree's gonna pop up on, it's gonna pop up on my ads now, but I don't recognize it or realize it until I see it. So just being mindful of those triggers you guys may have during the
Yeah.
holidays, because again, these are in ads, it's in our timeline, and
Mhm.
all that. So
Yeah.
that's a really great point. That's a really great point. As we wrap this up, what is something you would tell somebody who is feeling as if they want to do something for the holidays, or they don't want to do something for the holidays, and like what would be something you tell them as far as how they should play that out? Like, should they do something, should they not do something, like, and as
Okay.
it regards to like their mental health?
Yeah. I mean, if you want to do something, do something.
Hmm.
I mean, yeah, just like plan it out. Um, and if you don't, then don't. Plan that out too.
Plain and simple. Let's keep it P. Plain and
Yeah,
simple.
yeah. Plan that out as well. Figure out what it is that you want to do. I love the best worst case question, and I ask it to my clients a lot because it forces you to think about like what's real and what's not.
Hmm.
What are you perceiving may happen, and what's actually possible that could happen.
Yeah.
So, if you what's the best and worst case scenario? If you do
Hmm.
something, if you decide to do something, and what's the best and worst case scenario if you decide to not? And then now we have four answers, which leads us to, okay, well, let's chop it down to two. Which one sounds more right? Like battle royale, that thing. All right, and then let's get down to one. What's the best one for you? Okay, well then let's do that and let's plan accordingly.
100%. Absolutely. Well, thank you, Quentin. I appreciate your time, appreciate your insight, your professionalism. This was a great conversation. Right on time for the holidays. So again, if you guys are still tuned in, most definitely make. Is there a way they can find you
Oh,
on your
yeah,
social media platforms, website?
yeah, 100%. At Quentin R. Giles on Instagram, or you can go to quentinrgiles.com, the website, and it show you all the things there as well.
Perfect. Perfect. Sounds good. Again, thank you for joining. I hope this ain't the last time. This was amazing.
Yeah, yeah.
Most definitely gonna tap in back in with you guys. Again, check out Quinn's content, phenomenal content around mental health, men's mental health, faith. You're doing some great things in the community. Most definitely proud of you and all the things you're doing. Most definitely keep doing your thing. And yeah, until next time, you guys take care of yourselves and take care of each other.